Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, see, it says the Ramble. It says Alex. It's me, Alex Bennett. We're here till midnight Eastern Daylight Time. Look at that face. There she is. Oh, what a punum.
Good morning.
Good morning. That's Ronnie Bennett, ladies and gentlemen. She's out in Lake Oswego, Oregon, which is very near Portland, which I want to talk about in a moment.
We'll talk about Portland, I'm sure.
Yeah, talk about Portland. Oh, boy. Anyway, how you doing?
It's okay. It's okay.
I mean, how's your day-to-day? Is it?
It's not, there's no more is there ever a day without pain.
Yeah.
I can control it to a large degree.
Yeah.
With over-the-counter painkillers. Lately, it doesn't always work. And, it's not a killer pain where you want to scream and yell and beat your head against the wall. It's just the small, grinding pain that just everything difficult, you know?
Yeah.
And I have very, very little energy. And the smallest things take it away. If I get a long email from someone, as much as I love that person or I'm curious about that person, it's, oh no, do I have to read all of that?
Yeah.
And it's not just that. I mean, it's all kinds of things like, do I really have to make lunch?
Let me ask you something. Now, I know you're probably going to get irritated when I say this, but how much of that exhaustion is also exacerbated by the coronavirus and you having to stay indoors?
Oh, not for me, not at all.
Because for me, I have just...
I go for, I can go for a walk when I want to around here, except that I can't because I don't have the energy and I don't breathe so well. So my walks are involved in taking the trash out and making go to the mailbox and once a week walk as far as the car to go to the supermarket. I don't miss it at all. I've got windows to open on a nice day when it's not too hot. I'm a city girl and I live in the suburbs now.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely beautiful. To me, walking around means going past all kinds of different people and things going on and stuff. And that may not be going on as much in New York right now, but I guarantee you there's a lot more activity in New York than there is anywhere near me.
Yeah. Because I don't want to bring it all around to me, but it always does. I find that I have been in for so long now that I am starting to feel the effects of that. I have constant tiredness, and my wife seems to think I have depression over this whole thing about, the being indoors. I mean, we've been indoors. I've basically been indoors for what, 5.5 months, something like that? I mean, that can drive you wonky.
You're not going to like my response to this.
Okay.
Get over it.
All right. Get over it.
It's that or you'll kill people going out and breathing on them. Make up your mind.
Yeah, right. Well, yesterday, or day before...
I have so little patience with that. I mean, my patience is gone over that. We can either kill another 150,000 people or we can stay in and wear masks.
You're absolutely...
There's no question.
You're absolutely right. The only thing that I've got to say that we're so proud of, the other day on, I guess it was Monday, or was it Monday? Yeah, Monday, we had in this state, take a guess how many cases of coronavirus.
Oh, I don't know.
How many deaths? How many deaths?
Come on, stop it.
Two deaths.
Not a useful question.
Two. None in New York.
You had a very small number. But
none in New York City.
What I also don't like is every state has to do it themselves. Viruses don't know anything about borders.
Right.
And I don't understand how the rest of the world, troubled as they are by this, are doing a much better job than we are. Well, I do
Well,
understand.
because they took it seriously from the beginning. The day it started happening, they
I'm
closed everybody
sorry that I
down.
yelled at you about that, but I'm really tired of people moaning about being indoors. Make a choice: die or stay indoors.
Well, it's either die or kill somebody else.
That's what I
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
You know?
but
So
I'm
I'm
saying
kind of tired of the whining. We stay in for as long as it takes.
people forget that the reason Italy is a straight line now, and the reason that England's a straight line is, and France, is that they all forced people to stay indoors, and that drove it down, you know, and they've managed to keep it down, but by not letting anybody in from the United States. You know, we're so infected, and we have a problem right now that didn't need to be. Okay. And I mean, we have people who are dead as a result of this who didn't need to die. But no, our selfishness in America, selfishness is one of the things, okay? That we're a very selfish country.
Yeah, I think maybe up above selfishness, but stupidity.
Well, yeah, okay. Our governor yesterday did a thing about these kids out in Astoria who were partying out in the street, and he said, "You don't hear this much from a governor, but you're just being stupid."
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
He said, "You're being stupid." And if we could solve this thing tomorrow, if Americans didn't say, "Oh, it's my right to not wear a mask." No, it's not your right not to. Where's the Constitution?
Well, you know what kind of people they are. They are also the same ones who spit in the face of people who ask them to put a mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you need to know about them.
Yeah. And
I don't. Nobody should die from this. This should never have happened. But it did, and it really is showing who is who out in public. I mean, you know, just before we started, you mentioned Portland. I live right here next to Portland. And there's the whole political thing I guess we'll get into later. But it happens here as everywhere. There are just a few people who are, you know, dumb enough to keep walking around without masks. And it's not just themselves, it's everybody else, as you point out. It's such a simple thing. We have so little tools against this virus, but we can stay indoors, mask up when we go outdoors, keep our distance from one another, and and we're going to have to do it for as long as it takes.
yeah.
Or more. What are we up to? 140,000 and change
Oh yeah.
dead
Oh
in
yeah.
the United States?
Yeah.
I mean, and the fact that I said "and change" is a really bad thing. We're getting way too used to those numbers.
Today, well, this is Wednesday. Okay, today, California just beat New York out for the most cases. Can you imagine
Just
that?
before we said hello, I heard that it would do it today or tomorrow.
It did it. We're no longer number one. That disappoints us greatly. Yeah, right. You know, I mean, it's per capita we're still the highest, but you know, it's still the whole. When did a mask? Oh, I forgot to turn my light on. Yeah, there we go.
That's so cute.
Up until now, we haven't been on the air, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Yes.
No, the thing I don't understand is how wearing a mask or not wearing a mask became a political issue. And I think the only reason it became a political issue is because the president made it a political issue.
You know what's so interesting about that is, first of all, it's not hard to wear a mask. But the thing is, you don't even have to talk about it. If your leaders wear a mask every time you see them, and once in a while you mention this is what's going to save everybody. Did my light just change?
I think it did or something. I don't know.
Yes, what they're doing is putting a new roof on my building, and they just put out this big tarp right outside my window.
I see. Well, you're okay. We can still see you.
Okay. I didn't know they were going to do that. This may involve more loud pounding in a little while,
Yeah.
too. I forgot what we were saying. Where were we?
Well, we were talking about the politicizing of wearing a mask.
Yeah, I mean, if the entire, all of the people who are in charge to office, if from the very beginning, once we understood that masking was going to help, had just done it every time they appeared somewhere out in public, I don't think there would be a question. It would never have become a political issue. The president and the governors who go along with him and all of their minions made it a political question. Our leaders made it a political question. And if they're up for re-election, that means we don't need those kind of people anymore. We're in a lot of trouble.
Well, I mean, the fact
it's about to get even darker. They're doing more out there.
Well, once you disappear, we'll call it quits, okay? But you look fine. The lighting is really good now.
Oh, should I ask them to leave all that stuff?
Anyway, I mean, the thing is that you're right. It is so easy to wear a mask. Well, I'll disagree with you this far. Right now, the temperature in New York is at 90 degrees. If I went outside with a mask on, it's a little more difficult than it would be if it were a little cooler.
Oh, tell me about it. Do you got COPD?
I know. You probably couldn't wear a mask because of the COPD. You probably just
I have to wear a mask because I can't go out if I don't wear a mask.
Right.
But it means even when I park as close to the supermarket door as I can, it's by the time I get hopefully a cleaned basket to push, and can you hear the pounding now? And get inside. What I do is maneuver my way around to a little place where I'm out of anybody else's way, and I just stand there trying to get my breath for 2 or 3 minutes from just that little walk with the mask on. And it's and what I keep thinking about the people who say they have a right not to wear a mask is, or the ones who say there's a medical reason not to. I'm sure there are. But I get by with the mask. I have to go a lot slower. I have to stop and, calm myself down until the breathing comes back. But I get through it,
Yeah.
I don't want anybody else to get sick because unknowingly I have the virus and breathe on them or cough or something. And I don't want the same in reverse.
Well, the problem we're having is young people here, because they've got the idea they're invincible against this, which they're not, by the way.
They shouldn't by now. I mean, anybody over the age of 12 or 14 should be, absorbing enough news that they understand that's not true about
Wait
them.
a minute, 14 and absorbing news?
They should be. I mean, it's hard not to,
You and I did, but I don't know if today's kids do.
Well, I don't know.
But they don't get with the concept that they probably, if they get it, it's not going to be pleasant, but they get it.
The problem with that is also the same problem with having kids go back to school. When you're a teenager, it's your job to rebel against everything adults say, right?
Right.
It's your job when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
So the idea of sending kids back to school, distancing, wearing masks, it's not going to, there's always going to be kids that won't do it. And also, even a bigger one to me, the little kids, is that they're, 5, 6, 7 years old. If you tell them, you've got to stay 6 feet, say this far from Mary, well, then they go play, or they're going to do something in their classroom, and they forget. They're just kids. They can't help it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So it makes no sense to put them back in school.
And granted, the point is that granted, if they get it, it's probably not going to be lethal. But
nobody knows that.
But
babies are dying.
Any parent knows that when they send their kids to school, they start getting sick because the kids bring cooties home from school. They don't have them, but they bring them home. Yeah. And that's exactly the problem. And how you get little kids to understand this, but when they get to be in their teens, you can reason with them to a certain extent.
Yes, you can, to a degree. I mean, think back to when you were a teenager. Come on.
Well, you and I have
Your
never
job.
had kids, so we have no right to even talk about this. But I do.
But you
think,
know certain things about kids. You know that
Yeah.
little kids are not on their own going to remember to keep a distance from their friends. They're going to get busy playing a game and they're just going to forget. You know, that's how it is. That's how kids are. And it's, you know, the other thing, the kind of bigger picture question about people not masking up and going out to COVID parties and that sort of thing is, let's see if is that this is a once in a lifetime occurrence. It's a horrible, terrible thing.
Yeah.
Starting from, you know, low-level mayors up to the president, rush, we got to get back to normal tomorrow morning. If we don't get back to normal by tomorrow morning, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be awful. So everybody open all the stores and all the schools and do everything like you did before. No. And it's not, I mean, you can't control a natural event like this.
Also, the president is thinking about his reelection. He's not thinking about the safety of the American public. And he keeps going, if the economy's bad, I can't claim the economy. All right? And the fact is that if you continue with this behavior, the economy's going to get even worse because...
Well, you can't have a better economy until you get the virus under control or a way to live with it.
Right.
And until that happens, nothing we do is going to make the economy much better.
Right.
And I don't understand why people don't get these things. That it's not, none of this is you know, none of it is difficult to understand.
But you see, Ronnie, the problem is we live in a capitalistic country. And here we see a perfect example where money trumps life. You know? Where they would rather have a good... What's going to happen to our economy? Why don't you say, what's going to happen to our population? What's going to happen to the health of the public? You know, people who are getting COVID and survive it look like they're going to be having long-term effects from this disease.
Yeah, we all know that.
You know? And so that should be our primary concern. The economy comes second to human life. But we don't seem to understand that. And Trump certainly doesn't understand it. You know?
Well, you know, it's also, we should talk about what's going on in Portland.
Yeah, now you live within a stone's throw of Portland, okay? And we know what's happening in Portland. The United States has gone to war against its own people. That's basically how I look at it.
It's a secret police. I wish people would start saying that.
Yeah.
It is a secret police. The only insignia they wear on that camo is it just says police, if there's any. Nobody knows who they are. They throw people into unmarked cars. They never tell them why they're being thrown into a car. And this has been going on now for 2 weeks in Portland?
Yeah. Yep.
Something like that. Every night. God bless, by the way, the mothers who are all, you know, arm in arm protecting their children who are demonstrating.
Yeah.
But you know, there's certain phrases from our past that make you sit up and pay attention.
Yeah.
One of them is secret police. And that is exactly what these people are, that the federal government plopped down in Portland because there were people demonstrating there. As far as I know, he hasn't quite gotten rid of any part of the Constitution, and people have a right to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do.
And I don't, my biggest question is isn't there some way that local government can say, get out of here and make them go? Policing demonstrations is a local issue, always has been.
Mm-hmm.
Local police take care of that. Why? And here, from the mayor, the governor, and a bunch of other people, I think both senators and a good number of our representatives from Oregon have told the federal government they want these unknown people, who are, by the way, also masked, so no way to ever identify them in the future, just get out of here. We'll handle our own problem. Why can't that be forced? Why isn't there a way to make that happen? Apparently, they can stay as long as the federal government wants to, from what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't understand.
The thing that gets me about it is that these are people who are protesting, for the most part, freedom of speech. What they're saying is, well, they're defacing the federal building, and we're there to protect the federal building. Well, to begin with, defacing the federal building, they're painting on the walls. Okay, there are ways of getting that off after it's all over and you're back to your same old federal building. But the problem is, and I've always had an argument, that the police, their main job is not to protect people, it's to protect property. And we always value the protection of property over the protection of people, and that's what we've got going here.
But it's not the police. It's not the local police that are doing this.
Oh, I know that. But what I'm saying is they're using property as their excuse. And you.
Well, I don't think the excuse is the problem. I think the problem is grabbing people off the street for no reason and not telling them why they're being arrested, not being able to identify who's arresting you, being thrown in by the way, a rental car. Not even something the federal government owns.
Yeah.
And taking them off somewhere. And I don't understand why it can't be stopped. I mean, were the founding fathers that dumb that it's not set up in a way that the federal government can't take over a local city?
Well, I don't think they can, but they are.
They've done it.
But they can, but they are. And I think that's the point. Who? I mean, the question is, who can make them stop? Well, unless the people who are in those demonstrations want to take on these police physically, nobody. Unless somebody jumps in with some kind of
then they will be arrested for attacking a federal officer.
Yeah.
They can't do that.
Right. So
who can make it stop?
Who can make it stop? Well, Trump can make it stop. Bill Barr can make it stop. The Homeland Security people can make it stop, but they're not going to, because this is an election year, and the president wants to show that he's the president of law and order. Who, by the way, yesterday when they asked him about Ghislaine Maxwell, who was the, is being accused of
Epstein's helper,
sex trafficking, they asked him about her. He said, "I wish her well."
Yeah, I saw.
He said it twice, by the way. He wanted to make sure you knew he said it twice. What is that all about? This.
I don't really care.
So he is not the president of law and order. Giving Stone a commutation, is that law and order?
You know what worries me is he's saying, I think that the biggest federal government problem, besides not taking charge of the virus, is this attack in Portland. And the president has said that he'll next go to Chicago. Well, Chicago has a murder problem that Portland, Oregon doesn't.
Right.
8 more, maybe 12 more, I don't remember what people shot this past weekend in Chicago. Mm-hmm. That then will give those kind of cops a reason to shoot. And then we're already in deep trouble, and then we're really
well, what's happening in Chicago is a local police issue. It's not
so is it in Portland, Oregon. Doesn't seem to matter.
It's a shame what's happening in Chicago, but Chicago, you go back to the 20s, they were killing each other in the streets. I don't know, there's something about Chicago. But,
no, I mean, this is really serious. We shouldn't be making jokes.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, what I don't get is it's black.
And this is, I want you to be really clear where I'm coming from here. We are in deep, deep political trouble. What Trump has done is deployed a secret army with these men with their, I don't know, maybe they're women too. You can't tell. Their faces are completely covered with gas masks and camouflage. Hard to know who these people could be, even, men or women. We know where this took place before.
Yep.
We don't have to talk about that. We know.
Yeah.
And it's being done here. And it may be the darkest, most ominous thing that's ever happened in the United States domestically.
I agree with you, and we've almost run out of time, but I'll ask you one major question. Have we become a banana republic?
Well, I don't think, I don't know. I have no place. I just can't deal with labor. It cheapens things to give
so
it a back.
I guess I have no problem asking you this last question. Who are you voting for?
Hey, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
We all know that I have 2 deadly diseases, and I've entered hospice, which means I don't have a lot of time to live. And I desperately want to see the results of this election in November.
You will.
Wait a minute, I haven't brought up the question. We vote by mail in Oregon. It's been done here that way for 20 years. Trump can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And we usually get ballots about 3 weeks ahead of the actual election date.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say my ballot arrives, and because I don't know how long I'm going to be here, I fill it all in and I mail it off. What if I die before election day? Do they count it?
I hope so. And with that, we're going to call it to a close. You can find Ronnie Bennett at timegoesby.net. It's about what it's like to get old, which sometimes is fun and sometimes it isn't.
Goes either way.
Goes either way. Thank you, Ronnie. Great talking to you once again. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Take good care.
Bye-bye. I love you.
Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, and that's Ronnie Bennett, and we love talking to her, and I hope we keep talking to her for a long time, okay? But you never know. You never know. That's the way of all relationships in life, okay? Let's see here. Let's start admitting some people to our panel. And let's see here. We've got, let me see here. Okay, we got everything okay? Fine, good. All right, then I will go to the Zoom panel. And there's what we've got so far, folks. It's Howard. Hello, Howard.
Aloha.
Hello to me. Hello to Robert. How are you, Robert?
I'm fine, Alex. Thank you.
Today you have a woman's name there as well on your...
Yes, I noticed that. I'm on a different machine. That's my wife.
I see. So it's your wife's machine. And, of course... Charlie Wallace, deep in the heart of infected Texas, which is not very good, At least Robert is in New Jersey, if I remember correctly, Robert.
That's correct.
And we are, we go up and down a little bit on the death thing, but basically we've stayed under 10 for quite a while now, And
197 died in Texas today.
Really?
Yeah, new record.
197. Do you know California has surpassed New York now in the number of COVID cases?
Yep, but we're coming for you.
I know you're very.
Yes.
I think, is Florida closer or are you closer?
Florida closer. Florida will get there first, but we won't be far. 2 weeks.
You're all racing to get there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're number one. We're number one. Yeah, well, we're going to wind up being, I think, number 3 by the end of the week. Yeah. So, but nobody ever comes to New York and says, "What are you doing there that's working?" So, what the hell? 1 in 90. What is it? What do they say? 1 in every 98 people in California has COVID now.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
And Phil's still safe for the time being.
Yeah, well, we have to worry about COVID, but I guess in New York you got to worry about getting shot.
Not really.
Yeah.
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, like
I think
don't go-
getting hit by fireworks maybe is a better chance.
Yeah.
But nah, it's not as bad as you think. All right.
I guess it's Brooklyn and the Bronx, right?
I don't know. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah.
I mean, what's happened is we've been having this problem recently, and I think it's COVID related. I mean, COVID related in that a lot of people were pent up all winter, and now they've got the chance to go out, and they've gone crazy with the guns. But you're the one that wants guns legal, so you're a big Second Amendment guy. So this is the Second Amendment in action, Phil. You should be happy about it.
It's the people that own them legally that you don't have to worry about.
Well, no, these
It's
people,
the animals that are running around killing each other.
animals.
aren't the ones
You
that
call
are
other human beings animals, do you?
actual animals, yeah. And
Here we go.
look at these people.
God, it's not even like 2 minutes into our.
They're innocent until proven guilty.
Hey, Robert.
They're innocent till proven guilty. They have a right to a fair trial.
Yeah, and the 3-year-old that got shot through the head last night, that one doesn't count.
Innocent till
the 1
proven
year-
guilty.
Oh, take your
It only works for
words
you.
and shove them up your ass, Robert.
It only works for you.
How dare you tell
people
one of
who
how
really-
dare you tell a fellow citizen panel member to shove it up his ass?
Because he's using a tactic that is like, he takes
Using your words against
right,
you.
exactly.
Yeah.
But you take them out of context,
Oh,
Robert.
really?
Yes.
You wouldn't understand
No,
context.
let's see. Let me put it in context. Then last night I was talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, and the fact that Trump, on not one occasion but 2 occasions in his press conference, wished her well. And this is the woman who's accused of sex trafficking. And today, I think who was that? Somebody said, I can't remember who now. Oh yeah, it was what's his name? The guy that was the press guy for about 2 days. He said, I can't remember his name now.
The guy that
Scaramucci.
Yeah.
He said the reason he thinks that Trump did that was kind of sending a coded message to her.
Told you.
Don't mention me,
No shit.
and if you don't, good things will happen.
Well, I tell you, the one person that could bring him down, if it's true, would be her. And you think that in the New York courts that she would get a better deal going against Trump than for Trump?
No, I think that this was Trump's way of saying, if you don't mention me and I'm still president, you can get a pardon just like my pals.
You know what? I think you're reading comic books. And you're so far off of reality. There's special messages, dog whistles.
I know. It's
terrible.
It's terrible what I listen to.
People from New Jersey.
It's what I listen to.
You've been living amongst the mafia so long, you don't even know what's real, Robert.
Is that an ethnic slur?
Yeah, sure. It's a New Jersey slur.
Oh, I see.
Trump acts like a mafia boss.
What ethnicity is that?
Oh, Trump acts very much like a mob boss. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You got to be loyal to me.
Yeah.
Well, what's going on in these Democratic-run cities like
Jesus.
New York and Chicago and Portland and Seattle. You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
The good tactic, though. Let's avoid talking about 143,000 deaths.
Oh,
let's focus on a dozen or two.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
it seems that the people. It seems that
Let's not focus on people dropping dead by the thousands.
The most people that are dying. Wait a minute. The most people that are dying right now, as a consequence of COVID, are all in Republican states.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Is that your tactic? Well, they
It's the
staved it
truth.
off. And what the Democrats did was they shipped their Democrats with COVID into these Republican states to infect the rest.
I see.
Jesus
It's called winning.
Huh?
What does Jesus Christ have to do with this?
In your case, nothing.
When did
Well, that's
anybody
true.
ship anybody to Texas?
Yeah. Hey, isn't it nice that there's going to be some real estate in Houston? I guess they're burning down the embassy, the Chinese embassy, and getting rid of a bunch of spies.
They aren't burning down the embassy, Phil.
They're burning it themselves. They're burning papers.
They're burning papers, yes.
Yeah.
And we do that if we're forced out of a country.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
when the fire department responded, they
No.
said, "No, we don't want you there."
no, what everybody does when we've had trouble with, what do you think when we in Iran, when we had trouble at our embassy, what do you think we did with all our documents? We shredded them.
I don't know. I thought we had 300 and some odd people in captivity for a long time, under Jimmy Carter.
Talking Jimmy Carter?
Well, under
years?
Jimmy Carter, yeah, another Democrat. Of course, it's under a Democrat.
That was like 52. It wasn't 300.
Did you really want to join this tonight, Patrick, the way Phil is acting up?
I have no idea what's being said.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
He couldn't wait 2 minutes. Couldn't wait 2 minutes. We couldn't have just a nice little conversation about the swaying palm tree in Hawaii with Howard, or how's everything over in lovely New Jersey, No.
All right. So
It's happy hour here.
hey, me too. Smart word.
Mine was iced tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got 2 days left of radiation.
Good.
That's all? Oh, great.
7 weeks has gone by pretty quickly.
Yeah, they got to ring a bell?
Yeah, there's a bell in the hallway.
Yeah.
I get there at 7:30 in the morning, and there's been a couple of times that people have rung the bell, and it actually gives me a headache. So I don't know if I really want to ring the bell and do that to everybody else.
Well, you give us a headache, so you may as well get a little taste of your own medicine. I'm going in for my CT scan finally.
Yay.
The one that I was supposed to have a month after my procedure, so it's called the post-operative CT scan, not to find out whether I got anything bad or anything, but just that everything was done right, so.
Yeah.
It's for their own bookkeeping, basically. Of course, it winds up costing my insurance company a fortune, but
Well, there's two things that's going on. One is because of the radiation, I've had to drink a lot of water, and I didn't realize how much better you feel when you're fully hydrated rather than dehydrated. I wasn't drinking enough water. I was drinking coffee, and
I should probably drink water. I think that's what I need.
Yeah. It's amazing the difference. Feeling hydrated now, I can really tell the difference.
Yeah. We've been joined by Brian Neary, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Brian.
Looks like it's happy hour there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you had Kevin's popcorn.
No.
Yeah, I love Kevin yesterday with his popcorn. That was wonderful. Is it pronounced Ghislaine Maxwell?
It's a Galan, according to that Jeffrey Epstein documentary.
A Ghislaine? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was
Jizza for short.
If it was Jizz,
Jism.
they call it
Jizz for short.
Jizz for short. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. But he's just trying to make sure that he. Wait a minute. Now we have a guy. Somebody wants to come in called Muha Cotiz. Muha
John Larkin.
Cotiz.
That must
Larkin.
be John.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be Larkin.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't get this one though. What is it? Muha Cotiz?
What?
I don't know, Cortez, yeah. That's a good name. Muha.
Oh, Cortez. It's
Oh, it says Coetz.
You spelled your fake name wrong.
Yeah.
Courts. It's a weird name.
yeah.
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 Kind of like Cochise, but Italian.
Yeah. So anyway, boy, my eyes have been tearing today. I don't know what it is. By the way, I can't figure out whether the air purifier is working or not. It doesn't seem to be. I still have dust in the room gathering, pollen. I don't know. I can't tell whether it's working or not. So
Well,
I'm thinking.
coughing
Well,
glass.
here's how stupid I am because the small one doesn't seem to be working. I'm thinking about buying a big one.
Look, a lot of people have those air purifiers, and I think they work. You need the size purifier that fits the room, or you need two of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you got a 300-foot room and you got one purifier that does 100 square feet, it's not going to be efficient enough.
Mine does 256 square feet or something, and my thing I think is almost 500 square feet. My bedroom.
It's a big bedroom.
Yeah, it's a big bedroom. Well, I don't know. How do you go? See, here's the thing. If I showed you the ceilings here, I mean, they're 12 feet up.
Yeah.
So, my ceilings aren't low either. So how do we factor that in?
Yeah, it's a lot of cubic feet. When they tell you 250 feet, they're thinking an 8-foot ceiling. So if you got a third more ceiling, then...
Well, I'm thinking of buying this other one. What the hell? I don't mind losing all my money to air purifiers, but I figure I'd get this really good air purifier and see what it does in the bedroom, and I put the small one in the office here.
Great.
Yeah. So it's but I have it hasn't seemed to do anything yet. So anyway. Not much has been happening today in the news. Donald Trump, is that his name, the president, gave a press conference. He gave a press conference today. He really is insistent on losing this election. He's doing everything possible. I think he's using the same theory he used the last time. Do anything to make me not win, and I'll win. I think he's got problems, and I think that the press conferences still aren't helping him because it's just too many. They're now having to, in their interviews and in their press conferences and everything, do a what's the word I'm looking for? Do a debriefing for the audience. Okay, now that's what he said. Now here's the truth. And then they give you the facts as opposed to what he said. And when Chris Wallace was doing his interview, after the interview, they went back in and had to put into the interview moments of Chris Wallace saying, well, the president said that, but here are the actual numbers. Because they didn't want to mislead the audience. Now, I was trying to figure out, is that fair or isn't that fair? I mean, the guy comes up, he turns out for an interview, and now you're inserting stuff in the interview you've already done, saying, no, he was lying when he said this, basically. I wonder.
Like Phil said about Biden, somebody's pulling the strings.
Oh, yeah? I think so.
Well, right. He said that about Biden, that somebody's telling him what to say. Well, it sounds like people are correcting Trump, so somebody's behind.
Do you notice always when he used to put down Obama, it was Obama did this, Obama did that, and now it's Obama Biden did this, Obama Biden did that.
Of course.
Yeah. And then of course it's the China flu. By the way, it's the China flu, and yet, if I remember correctly, where it started in Wuhan, they had it all cleared up in Wuhan by the time it started to come over here. So how is it exactly the Chinese flu?
They exported it from
They
Wuhan.
say it may not have come from
They
China,
do that.
it actually started somewhere else and got to China.
Yeah, it's now. Why did they make up the thing that it started in their food area
in the wet, what they call, I think they call the wet markets.
Yeah.
Animals.
Why won't they allow any scientists to go in?
Well, they
and
have.
check the Wuhan lab.
They have.
And they've destroyed information. They even killed the whistleblowers that were in the Wuhan.
He died of
Yeah,
coronavirus.
He actually died. Yeah, he died from COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, because
they died first, right?
Because
they died before the rest of the world.
Because he was working with it.
Right, but they died before the rest of the world got infected. So obviously, it probably started there.
They don't.
And that helps us how?
How does that help us? How does that change anything?
It answers your
no,
question.
here's your answer, Phil. Here's your answer, Phil. No, here's your answer. Phil, hold on a second. Here's your true answer. It doesn't matter what happened in Wuhan. What matters is how we responded and how we jumped in to take care of it before anything terrible happened here, and we didn't do that because our president wasn't proactive.
Your statement was it probably didn't start in Wuhan. And that's how it makes the point.
I said it may not have. A lot of people say it maybe started somewhere in Africa.
Okay, so my point is, Robert, that the first cases came out of Wuhan.
You mention Robert.
So
do you have something against Robert?
Yeah, right now I do. But
sorry, Robert. I know. Take it as a badge of courage.
He's still pissed at me from before.
So, thank you. So anyway, your statement was it may not have come from Wuhan. And
that wasn't my statement.
No, not yours, Robert. I'm talking out. Anyway, and a little drama. So anyway, my answer was if the first cases came out of Wuhan, that would indicate that that's where it came from.
And
since it's spread so much.
Yes and no.
Well, yes and no, but
no.
To answer
to begin with, the thing they felt is it came from bats the people ate that they bought at the wet market.
Somebody had a bad bat sandwich.
Listen, yesterday
there was a whole load of bad bat. Okay.
Yesterday in his presser, he talked about formulating a plan. Do you realize the NBA has had a fucking plan for a month? The NHL, Major League Baseball, but just now in late July, we're formulating a plan.
Do you remember Mario Cuomo? Mario Cuomo had a plan. Even Gavin Newsom in California had a plan, but he kind of fudged on it later on.
Hey, look, Fauci said that these things
are don't quote Fauci. He's a bad guy. He's a liar. He's horrible. You can't believe him.
Anyway, he said that these things are changing from the beginning when we first got the infections till now. We've learned a lot over this time, and plans have to change. So they have a new plan, and they're in another phase, which opens the. They want to open.
What was the old one?
The old.
They didn't have. What was the old one?
The old one was to get ventilators, to get PPE.
That doesn't prevent people from getting ill.
But that was the first part of dealing with the COVID. You know, we were afraid that our hospitals were going to fill up, and we took 2 weeks to lock down, so that our hospitals wouldn't get inundated with cases and they'd be able to handle it. Well, you kept moving the goalpost,
right.
And now it's a vaccine.
Charlie. Charlie.
Yes,
going on over in
the
Boston,
hospitals are full in Texas.
Yeah. Well,
apparently he's a little late with formulating a plan, Phil.
Now, in Texas, you need to now deal with the hot spots, but I don't think that
you mean the entire state.
Well, the entire state. Houston and Austin are the two biggest.
Oh no, not the only ones.
Yeah. Well, they're not the only ones, but they're the ones that are their hospitals are being overrun. And
the other hospitals are too, but they're so small that they're easily overrun. They're having to send their people to Houston and Austin.
That's true. Amy said in a tweet or post that the hospital in her area only has one ICU bed.
Well,
but Phil, dealing with hotspots is the equivalent of saying this part of the swimming pool is designated for pissing.
Yeah.
Works for me. I use the whole pool.
Yes, Charlie.
God, what was I gonna say? About the hospitals. One of the reasons that the hospitals in Houston, Austin, Dallas, and places like that are filling up is because all of the small towns around Texas lost their hospitals. You know why? Because Governor Abbott refused to expand Medicaid So the rural areas, all those hospitals shut down because the people were too poor to afford health care and afford for the hospitalization. So the hospitals didn't have enough patients, and they all had to shut down.
Oh, they should have moved to California. They'll give it to them.
Or
Oh,
Hawaii.
that's the other. That's the other thing.
Phil, is there anything you don't have an opinion about?
Yes, I'm $200
Because
away.
if there
from,
is, I'd like to get to that topic. What would it be?
I'm $200 away from falling into the gap on the Medicare drug thing.
Speaking of which,
The donut.
I'm a little pissed at Trump because that lemonade stand that I opened at the border, well, the caravan never showed up, and now they won't allow me to have small business money. So I'm a little ticked about that.
We're sorry the caravans never showed up.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, Country Time Lemonade is giving money to kids who can't have their lemonade stands.
I should have gone with the cruise ship option.
Right. You know, you should
Next caravans are in October.
Yeah, I know.
The caravans will show up about the time we're nearer to the election, and the poll numbers are really bad.
Well, then the Democrats, instead of the caravans, they wanted the caravans, they didn't come. So now they're rioting in the streets, and they're trying to burn down courthouses and assault police officers so that there's anarchy.
Fake
Anarchy,
Patrick, you're sitting there rather bemused or something. I don't know. What is that look you've got on your face?
Well, I was half agreeing with Phil on the startup of their phase 1 plan against COVID was actually to make sure that the hospitals weren't overrun. I mean, I don't think I dreamed that's why we had all those ventilators made, and we were reallocating those. So, I mean.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right in that respect, Patrick. And the big but is, unfortunately, we also have a problem with these hospitals being overrun and almost filled to capacity, which then causes a problem. Not only for people who have COVID, but for people who are just ill. I mean, if you're just sick, if you've got something wrong with you, I'll give you an example. I got my seeds for my prostate and my radiation. I finished what I was going to do, the operation for the seeds, 1 week before they started closing everything down because of COVID. If I had been 1 week late in getting it, I'd be still sitting here with cancer rotting away at me until they could do something about it. Probably they would do it now, because it is in its own way an elective surgery. So, a lot of people, especially in Texas now, you better not get sick with something else that you have to go to the hospital for.
Or even a stroke or a heart attack. Somebody may be afraid to go, and then, seconds and minutes matter.
I'll give you a good example. Next door, we had our neighbor's wife die, and she died because she went into sepsis. The reason why she went into sepsis was because she waited too long to go to, they called the hospital, and they said, we don't have room for you here, but here's what you should do. Take some Tylenol or whatever, And it wasn't until she was finally dying that they called an ambulance, and then the ambulance, because they were all being used so much, couldn't get here fast enough. And by the time they got here, she was dead. So my question is, did she die of COVID, or as a result of COVID? And my answer would be, yes, she did, because had she chosen to go into sepsis, she would just, under any normal conditions, she would have gone directly to the hospital. They would have taken care of her, and she would have been out, and she'd be alive right now.
But also, Trump waited too long to get all those companies like Ford and them into making the ventilators. Remember, everybody was wanting him to start to pull the trigger on that Manufacturing Act. Yeah. And he just said, we don't need it. And then all of a sudden, when they start making ventilators, it's already too late.
It's a defense act, is what it is.
And in March, there were states competing against one another to buy masks and PPE that could have been coordinated at the federal level.
Well, if
so
the
that
federal
states
if the
didn't
federal
have to
government had
compete.
been doing all the purchasing on this stuff, it would have they wouldn't have dared charged the kind of prices they were charging for PPE. I mean, they were charging $8 for a mask.
Wasn't that the guy that bought that stuff, military surplus, and then try to resell it
No,
at a very
that's
high price?
that's another story altogether. That's one of the many stories of profiteering.
Expired stuff too.
Yeah, but no, I mean, the fact is that if all the states had been able to get together, or and with the federal government bought this stuff and then apportioned it out, it might not have been the problem that it became. But the government was too late getting into all of these things. I mean, as he said, as somebody just pointed out today, he said we have a plan. Well, I mean, come on, this is 5 months in. The plan, you should have had a plan the minute this thing started. The minute you saw New York have the infection rate that it had, you should have been there with a plan.
Yep.
You know, Cuomo had a plan. His plan worked, but.
Yeah.
You know, but what the administration did and what he was advised to do to not make sure it wasn't blowback, since it was an election year, is to then say, well, it's up to the governors.
And it did.
It's out of my hands. It's up to the governors. Well,
That
look
was
what happened
so
to that.
great.
His governor pals, his Republican governor pals, handled it terribly because they didn't want to upset him by even admitting that there was a COVID problem.
Deny everything that he does. I don't know that girl. I've never met her. And then there are pictures of her. You know, it's like everything he says is, I don't know. I've never seen that, you know.
Dr. Birx today
Only
reached
5.
out.
Yeah.
Dr. Birx today reached out to 11 major cities and informed them or communicated with them that there should be alarm over the increasing rates of COVID. That goes in the news category of no shit. You know, like this is supposed to be a help. Like Pittsburgh doesn't know that there are increasing numbers.
It's too, you know, a lot of this is too late. You know, and Cuomo was bringing it up. He said there wasn't a problem 5 months ago. There wasn't a problem 4 months ago. Come on. What?
Just want to shoot the messenger.
What do you mean? Wait a minute. Who's the messenger here?
cheap way
Wait a
out.
minute. Wait a minute. Who's the messenger, Phil? The messenger isn't Trump. He isn't sending a message.
Yes, he is, because what happened was everybody said they didn't want to hear from Trump. They didn't want him to have these COVID conferences. So he stayed away.
I wanted them very much. I loved them. They were terrific.
They were entertaining.
They were the best. They
Why
were the
did it
best.
have
They were
to
the
be
best.
either or.
They were the
should-
best comedy show on television, Phil.
Sure.
You and the rest of your lefty commies didn't want him having those 2 hour or hour and a half.
No, we loved it.
Yeah.
Well, 2 hours is a bit
and-
much. You
in
know,
a way-
that's when you have a 2 hour press speech that you're giving, you're getting into Castro territory.
Well, you
You
didn't
know.
need the news to cover the whole thing. They could have just covered the highlights. But, because there was a lot of press questions, and he was transparent enough to take them.
Oh, they're
But,
they're not covering him anymore. They
well,
will go.
it's like
They
doing
will
the
go.
Mike
They will
Pillow
go
ad.
into his coronavirus update. They will stick around for as long as the update's going on. And the minute he starts going into anything where he's politicking about the economy, about how well he's done with this and how well he's done with it, they move away from it and say, we'll go back to it if he ever talks about anything substantial.
Good. So what the situation is nobody wanted to hear that. He stayed away. He did what the people asked. And now they're saying,
Wait.
then said,
You know-
hey,
you know
because
why-
he stayed away.
Hold on.
You know why he's doing this? According to him, do you know why he's doing this, Phil?
To the people.
Because they were so popular.
Oh,
Yeah.
The ratings
Yeah.
were so high.
Like a rash.
Yeah, that he felt he had to go back to doing them.
Yeah.
Really? What is this? Is it looking at the ratings? This is not prime time.
Beside which, why does it have to always be either or? So we didn't like his press conferences because they rambled, no pun intended. And so we didn't care for him doing the 2 hour stick but nobody said we didn't want him to behind the scenes do some work.
I'm sure.
So instead, he gets the idea we don't like the press conferences, so it has to go to the other side of the pendulum, and he has to do nothing and do like this and say it's on the governors. Why couldn't there be an in-between?
It's always been on the governors, just like the crime and the riots are on the governors.
Not anymore. The stormtroopers are out.
They're not
Yeah.
stormtroopers.
Whether the
You're
governor wants them or not.
MSNBC.
Call them what you like. They're stormtroopers.
They're police officers. They're enforcing
No,
law.
they're not.
Phil,
They're secret.
They have no
They
jurisdiction.
are
They're-
they are the
they're
secret.
army.
They are the secret police.
Oh yeah, that. So you're just regurgitating.
No, Phil. You know
Right.
what? I'm gonna just be quiet for a while I eviscerate you. Okay. All right. You always talk here about the reason the Second Amendment has to exist in case this government ever decides to take over, and we should be able to have guns in order to prevent it. Haven't you said that, Phil?
Absolutely.
Okay. What do you think's happening now, for Christ's sake?
They're protecting
Portland.
federal property. They're not going after people.
Phil.
Hey, the hell they are.
This BS of black vans picking up innocent mothers.
It's not
and
BS. I've seen.
They're
Hey.
all over YouTube. Look at the
They
video.
arrested about 10 people.
And by the way, Phil, today I looked at the video of the secret police. Secret police in Portland, and according to you yesterday, the head of Homeland Security, whoever it was, that moron who was appointed by Trump. Wait a minute, let me finish. Said that they were wearing patches on their shoulders. I looked for patches, Phil. I actually took a frame and blew it up to see if I could find a patch, and there are no patches.
Can you post that?
Huh?
You post that for you?
I did that hours ago. Yes, John.
Yeah, that guy Chad Wolf or whatever his name is, he has no experience at all in law enforcement. He was a fucking lobbyist before Trump put him in charge of this shit. I mean, and something else I'll say, this is so illegal. The Constitution prohibits any type of federal police. All police forces are in the states. You know, it's relegated to the states.
Yeah.
So this has never been done before. It's
John?
like, yeah.
Who is supposed to protect the courthouses and the 9,000 federal buildings? I think it's 9,000 or 90,000. 9,000 federal buildings across the United States.
Well,
Was that Navy veteran a threat to a building?
how are they?
Trying to burn it down. They tried to take
they
it.
tried to burn it down. Did they burn
No,
it down, Phil? Did they burn it down? Did
they
they burn it down?
Because the
Phil,
police
did they burn it down? I asked you a question. Answer me.
ordered it.
Answer
Why?
my question.
They tried.
They tried? When?
Yeah, they. The other night they threw fire bombs into the lobby of the O'Hara. Is it the O'Hara courthouse in Portland?
No.
So are they
No, wait a
protecting
minute.
the
Wait a
building, or
minute.
do
John Larkin disagrees with you, and then Patrick. Yes, John.
I've been watching it pretty closely, and everybody that has, almost everybody other than Fox News has said that the main instigators of all the everything going on is this police force. So in other words, these protesters are coming out in reaction to those stormtroopers, and it's the stormtroopers that are aggressive.
Yeah. Yes, Patrick.
All right. They are wearing patches. I have a screenshot from KTLA, and they are wearing patches. They're just subdued like you wear on a military uniform. I can show you right now. There's American flag, and they've got the patch of Homeland Security.
Mm-hmm. Where is that? There.
No, he's talking about patches with the badge numbers.
Yeah.
Patrick, do we
There's
think
no
that a
badge
military-looking uniform is a good idea?
Yeah.
We do. So we want military-looking people enforcing laws within cities.
Sure.
What prevents the federal government now from knocking on my door because I spoke against Trump and arresting me on some trumped-up charge?
You want them to wear
Where do we
tutus?
draw the line?
You're not doing anything against the federal building or federal property.
Neither
The
were
Navy
many
guy
of the
wasn't
people that
doing
were
anything.
protesting, Patrick.
Right, Charlie?
What'd you say, Charlie?
The Navy guy was not doing anything
Right.
to any federal building anywhere.
No,
They
that's
beat
good,
the
correct.
Shit out of him.
Yep.
They weren't protecting the building. They're beating up people.
What about the guy they shot in the head with the rubber bullet? He wasn't doing anything. He was just standing there with a boom box.
Phil?
You know, there sometimes when you're hanging out with rioters,
Here we go.
you end up getting
Why? Nobody was rioting except the police, except those troopers.
no, you know, every night for 53 nights in Portland, from midnight to 5 in the morning, the rioters have been going crazy, destroying federal property. And you know, if you had a business in Portland, would you want that to go on there? You know, come on. How could you condone this stuff? You guys are complicit in trying to throw over the United States.
By the way, you
you're
know what I found out from Ronnie today, which is interesting. Do you know that Portland was a slave state?
Oregon, you mean?
You might as well then
Yeah,
get rid of
Oregon.
them out of the Union.
Oregon was a slave state. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but the
What
thing
year
is,
did
Portland is this namby-pamby, touchy-feely city. And for this to go on in Portland, I could see if this were going on in, you know, any one of a number of other states, including our beloved New York. I could see them trying it here. But Portland, come on, you know, and all they did to that building was graffiti on the building, which is easy to take off.
Don't fucking destroy federal property.
Oh, fuck
Why is it
federal
so hard?
property. Fuck
Why
federal
is that such
property.
a hard concept?
I'll tell you
People
something,
that
Patrick, if you're going to protest against your government, aren't you going to do it to a federal building? What do you want them to do it to? A boutique somewhere?
Well,
Hold
peaceful.
your sign. You do not need to destroy property.
They
I
didn't
don't
destroy.
understand-
They didn't destroy property. They put graffiti on it. You can get that off. It was on marble and stuff. That's just easily taken off. Hell, if we could clean the subways of graffiti, you could certainly do that building.
Well, why do
Okay?
it? Why do it anyway? What purpose?
Because
does that-
because you don't like what the government's doing. You're protesting the government, and the place you protested is at a federal facility.
hold
Don't
a
try and
sign,
burn.
hold a sign and whine that way.
Because you
You don't have to
gotta have
destroy property.
you have to have people that stand up and say, "Hey, this is not right," and we're not gonna stand up, you know, for this bullshit that Trump's pulling.
And that's fine, but you don't have to be spray painting and destroying shit to do.
That's true. That's
You
true.
don't
Not
have to
all
be
of them
beating
are.
natives,
Not
Ben.
all of
Just
them are
standing
doing
there.
that.
Hey,
They didn't need to bring in stormtroopers for just because a couple of people were, you know, setting garbage cans on fire and spray painting buildings.
they did a lot more than that.
Nah, bullshit.
Oh, yeah,
And you know what? You know, there's a cop that's going to lose his vision. You know, there's also
Oh,
Oregon joined the Union in 1859, and it was known to be a free state. Now, does a free state mean that it didn't have slaves?
I don't know when it had slaves. Ronnie said that it was at one time a slave state, where you were
And
allowed to
there-
own
there's
slaves.
became a state in February 14th, 1859.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that.
It has a long history of white supremacy up there too.
Yeah, and
It must have
they're
been a
Nazis.
slave territory or something. 'cause
But you know, I mean, quite frankly, I don't give a shit about what happens to a federal building. I do care about what happens to people. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think if you're wanting to protect a building over protecting the lives of people, no matter what they're doing, unless they're killing other people, I think the human life is a little more important.
Don't
Okay.
break the fucking law. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's
You're absolutely right. So don't send troops where they
Yeah,
don't
that breaks
have
the law.
jurisdiction.
They
They
do
have no
breaks the law.
jurisdiction there.
Well,
Why
hey,
not wait for the city of Portland to reach out and say
Robert,
we need the
I
National
know-
Guard?
Robert, I know you're a
Just
Supreme
answer
Court
that
justice.
question. Please answer that question.
I know he's a
Why not
Supreme Court
wait
justice.
Well, Phil, you're doing what you talked about last night. You're not allowing another point of view. Just answer my question. Why couldn't you wait for the city of Portland to reach out and ask for the National Guard's help? That's been the protocol forever. Why did Trump decide to take the action on his own? Second of all, why didn't he send troops in as opposed to these nameless, faceless people? We don't even know who they work for or where they're taking people when they arrest them.
They don't tell them. They don't tell them why. They don't tell them why they're being arrested. Yes, Patrick.
I'll walk before Portland will take care of their problem.
Right.
Okay, well, you better start walking.
Really? You're right. So let's form a Gestapo now and let's get it over with.
Chicago, Lightfoot has finally come around to saying, hey, we need the federal help. Send in your people. Let them work with our...
When did she say that?
When did she say that, Phil?
An hour ago.
Yeah, she said it today.
No, she didn't.
No, she didn't.
Are you familiar with this one? Yeah, I heard it.
Well, you heard it, but that doesn't mean
you
heard it wrong. Right. I didn't hear it. I heard, in fact, quite the opposite, that she told Trump that she did not want the federal authorities to come into Chicago. And she said, stay out of Chicago.
Now,
Portland doesn't want them either.
She's changed her position on that.
Well, you show me where it says. Find me where it says that. Find it. Go find it, Phil. Maybe that'll that'll keep you quiet for 5 minutes if you go have a homework assignment.
When I come back with the answer, don't tell me we've moved on past that. All right?
And I don't want it from some source like Alex Jones.
Okay. Alex Jones says.
Isn't that one of the problems, though? They're going in there and they're not working with the local authorities. They're just going on and gunslinging, right?
That's the whole thing.
They came in without asking. Yeah.
Once they leave federal property, they have no jurisdiction.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Alex.
Like Phil says,
wait. Howard hasn't said anything all night. Yes, Howard.
I figured out regarding the slaves in Oregon, and basically Oregon had slaves before they were a state.
Mm-hmm.
Then, when they became a state, they said that no blacks were allowed and that they all had to leave or they were going to get whipped or beat.
Oh, really? That's when they became a state?
Yep.
And that's why Oregon only has 6% black population.
Yeah, it's very low percentage.
Yeah.
They don't want no brothers there.
They told them all to leave, basically, or be beat.
Boy, I'm glad I gave Phil that homework assignment because now...
But it even got rid of the basketball team.
The one I found was
the basketball team. The Seattle
the one you found was Fox.
Yeah, it says a 3-year-old girl was shot in the head hours after a funeral home incident.
Wait a minute, that's not what we asked you to go looking for.
No. So then Lightfoot pled for assistance from the public about the gunfire that erupted. And after rejecting the Trump administration plan to send federal agents to help combat crime in the city, visually frustrated Lightfoot condemned the incidents, grappled find the quote.
I'll tell you what you do. Read it back to us when you find it. Okay, don't read us all the stuff leading up to it.
I understand. I was trying to get to the point fast, but it didn't work that way.
So far, she just asked the public for help.
Yeah, she's not asking any federal troops to come.
No, I know that she asked that today.
Well,
what I found is basically Lightfoot is saying she won't send the secret police to Chicago. That's what I found.
They're not secret police.
They are secret
Yes, they
police.
are.
The Gestapo.
The
Gestapo. We'll give them the right name. I'm sorry, Phil.
Wait.
They're the Gestapo.
I used the wrong words. Unidentified government, unidentified federal agents.
Yeah,
That's all
exactly.
you need to know is
Secret police.
Wait a minute, Patrick.
all you need to know is they're federal agents, and the reason they're not putting their badges out is they don't need to get harassed at home.
But they need to have a badge on so that you have a number, so that if they do something untoward you, you can turn them in. They don't have to have their name on it. They don't even have to have their name on the thing. They need to have a badge so they have a number that you can report if you as a citizen want to do that.
If they have their patches on their shoulder, good enough for me.
So somebody kicks the shit out of you, and you'd like to file a complaint, where do you go? Where do you start?
And
you're
how
just part of the crowd.
how do you identify
hadn't
who it
harmed a
was?
thing.
How do you identify who it was?
Yes.
The Constitution prohibits federal
Yeah.
police.
Charlie?
Every policeman in the city of Austin has his name and his badge number visible to anybody if they are stopped by the cops.
Okay.
Every cop. How come they don't get harassed if you're so worried about the federal police getting harassed?
Well,
And you know
because
what? Let's get down to what this really is. This is Trump trying to run on the old Nixon law and order playbook. That's all this is.
He's just trying to
He
start
has
a war.
nothing else to grab. The economy's in the shitter. He's got people dropping dead. And so he's opted to go for law and order. It's the old Nixon playbook.
It's not even that. It's the Middle East dictator playbook.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
All right. It says instead, Mrs. Lightfoot said, Chicago will be receiving resources from FBI, DEA, and ATF agencies that the city has worked with regularly in the past to
In the
help
past.
manage. Let me.
That's
to
different.
help
Phil,
manage-
Phil, forget it. What you said
Hold on.
was she was asking the government to send in people.
Right, and what the government is sending, just like they did with in other cities, but
Are
she
those
is
people?
upset
Are those people
that
in
you-
Portland? Are those people in Portland? DEA? Are they
Chicago.
DEA?
They're Homeland
Are they
Security.
No, are they
FBI?
DEA?
They may be.
Are they
Or they
DEA?
request-
Are
I
they?
don't-
Are they? What do you call it?
Every
FBI.
FBI agent is
I don't know.
required to
What?
identify themselves.
In Chicago, she said
Phil,
that
she didn't
will
say
be
that.
receiving resources from FBI, DEA, and ATF.
And she said that we have gotten those resources before, and we've used those resources before. She did not
they
ask.
withhold
She did not ask
Federal-
Trump to send in. She didn't ask. She didn't ask for Trump to send in his stormtroopers.
What these are federal agencies that are just like Homeland Security is a federal agency.
Phil, you're
Homeland
trying to change the story. That's not what she says
You're
there.
trying to change. the
She
story.
says we have always brought these people in to help us.
And they only come in when asked.
And to work together,
Right.
together.
Yeah.
she's in.
But what you said was she asked the federal government to send in their troops, like they
Right,
had.
and she will work
No,
with
no.
FBI.
But she didn't say that, Phil.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
didn't
it's
say that. So apologize.
No, it's exactly what she said. She
No,
will
she-
work with.
How
federal-
many here heard what he said? What he read? Because when he reads stuff.
I think the federal government.
And raise your hand, and if you feel that she asked them Trump
That-
to send
like-
in his troopers.
That would be like getting.
Raise
an
your
honest
hand.
question.
Raise your hand. Watch how many hands go up, Phil.
Trump's guys.
Not
they're
even
Trump's guys.
Patrick's hand is going up, and he's to the right.
Yeah, on my.
What happened was she wrote a letter saying, Donald, don't send them, and
Well,
outlined all
I
her
think-
reasons why she
As
didn't.
did I believe the governor of New York, Mario Cuomo, wrote him and said, or called him and said, you better not send anybody up here.
But what's he doing? What's he doing to augment your lovely mayor and the
Listen,
big crime,
Cuomo
murder?
and our mayor do not get along.
Well,
Okay, so
then
you're
yes.
not going to have any gripe. You're not going to have any gripe about our mayor from Mario Cuomo.
Whatever happened to
Or
good
Andrew.
old-fashioned small government Republicans? I would love to sit and have a beer with one.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
can't find one anymore.
Yeah.
I really can't.
You know
No,
why?
You're not one.
I'll
that's
tell you
for
what.
sure.
We have a good Republican on this panel right now. Patrick's a good Republican.
A
you know.
small government Republican.
Well, you're not
Those
even a
are the type I would
Republican
love to
anymore,
sit and talk
Patrick.
to.
What are you now?
I've told you that for the
Yeah,
last
he's
3
independent.
years. Conservative, not Republican.
Okay, conservative. All right.
Okay.
True
Fine.
conservative.
I would love to have a chat with you then.
I got a New
Because
Jersey.
I'm not hearing small
No,
government.
Patrick
anymore.
and I disagree with each other, but it's an intelligent discussion.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Patrick?
Yeah, we've been at each other for
Yeah.
over 10 years now.
Yeah. And I've always liked him because he's respectful of me and I'm respectful of him. And sometimes we get a little heated, but basically, I he's my man.
Patrick doesn't like Trump, and so
Neither does anybody else anymore, Phil.
Yeah. Hey, I have
His own wife doesn't like him.
Robert.
I want to see you on November, was it 4th, with your putt in your hand. What's left of it after all the stuff.
Hey, so anyway,
boy, those feminine hormones are not working.
I can't go to New Jersey, Robert. In 1972, I was driving from New York to Miami, and I got pulled over doing 75 or 85 and a 65. And I said to the trooper, "What happens if I don't pay this ticket?" He says, "Well, if you don't pay this ticket, you better not come back to New Jersey." So I never did.
I wish you well.
So on top of that, this guy who believes in law and order, I believe you believe in law and order, right?
Before computers.
Is a scofflaw.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Boy, you're...
Hey, on my FBI background investigation, it didn't come up.
Oh, really? Okay.
I actually once worked for the New Jersey State Police. For 1 year, I was a civilian dispatcher.
Yeah.
By the way, I love the guys I worked with, but it was the most racist organization I've ever been around.
I'm the only
life.
one on this panel who's ever had top secret clearance.
Yeah.
I had top secret
I
clearance.
was recruited by the CIA, but I didn't take the job.
Really?
Yeah, 1974.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, why didn't you take the job? I can't imagine why.
Because I couldn't admit to my friends that I worked for the CIA in 1974.
What did they want you to do?
They wanted me to translate Russian scientific literature to assess the status of their scientific advancements.
How the hell did you
I'm
learn
supposed
to
to read
speak
Russian
Russian?
science journals?
Do you speak Russian?
I did in 74.
How do you-
I was a minored in Russian at Northwestern.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nostrovia.
Not
Comrade.
anymore.
He must have wanted to be an astronaut.
Yeah. Spasiba. Those are the only two Russian words I know.
Yeah.
That
What's
and,
Those bad words.
huh?
What's do svidaniya?
Nosvidanya, that means, what does that mean, Charlie? It means,
That means
it's,
thank you, guys.
it's like a drink thing, isn't it, too?
That means
Nosvidanya. Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway.
I think it means thank you.
Oh, does it? I don't know. I'll have to ask my friend Natalia next time I talk to her what does Nosvidanya mean.
The only thing I remember now is Yana Znayu. I know nothing.
Always a good thing to know.
Always a good thing to know. Yeah, yeah. And we wish Phil would say that more often. Yeah. But anyway. So, another pleasant night here at the Ramble. Everybody
Shouldn't somebody mention the passing of John Lewis? It's just a personal thing of mine.
Yeah, we
He's
talked
sort of
about
a
that
hero.
last week.
Yeah, we talked about that last
Oh,
week.
did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I must have missed that.
One of the there's very little bad you can say about the guy. He just was as perfect and decent a human being as you can find, and I think even the most conservative of the Republicans would agree with that.
He called for Trump's impeachment. He was one of the
Yeah, well,
first.
good.
Yeah,
So did a lot of the rest of us as well. So
Yeah.
Hey, listen, that's it for tonight. Boy, that went by pretty fast. Probably because 25 minutes of it was Ronnie. But anyway, thanks, Howard, once again. Aloha.
Aloha.
Michael, good. I love having you here. Please come back. You're just a ball of fire. Robert, rather. Did I say Robert? Did I say Robert? What did I say, Robert, right?
Michael.
Yeah. And Charlie, always love having you here. Phil? Sure. Patrick, thank you so much. And Brian, you were a little quiet tonight, but I love seeing your daughter. Your daughter is so adorable. She's amazing. Anyway, and of course, whatever your name is tonight, John Larkin, thanks for joining us as well. I want everybody to give a big wave goodbye at the audience, and I'll give you a big wave goodbye back. Okay? There we go. Okay. There goes our citizen panel tonight. There'll be another one in just a few minutes with the intersection with our good friend Jack Bishop. We'll be back again, let's see here, tomorrow night, same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, stay safe and wear a mask, whatever our president said.